Did I go too low? Is that too much? Welcome back. I have had a few hours today and yesterday to mess with this. Kind of started down the road of trying to figure out how to put 6 lugs for the truck and 5 lugs for the wheels in the same hub. And I think I've got it figured out. I'm working on a couple of different print designs that I can put drill, what am I going to call them? Drill guides. So a hardened sleeve into holes so that I can run a drill bit in there without wallering it out. I'm still working the final dimensions on everything, so we'll get to that. In the meantime, what I've kind of discovered is I need to lower the truck. I was going to lower the chassis, all the suspension anyway, so I already bought 2-inch lowering rear springs. Right now I just have some 2x4s in there holding everything up. So that's not really helping me figure out where the back end should be, but I have different springs and struts for the front of this. So I think the thing to do is go ahead and put my lowering kit on. These mock-up wheels are 24-inch overall diameter. We really need room for a 25 to 26-inch. We're gonna have to kind of just guesstimate it and maybe get one of the tires and wheels down and just kind of set it up there, line up the center hole and say, that's roughly where I want it. I don't know what else to do because I've got some possible solutions, which include trying to re-drill the hubs myself. I've also ordered like a 2004 S10 hub, which I have read will bolt directly on, but one of the problems is the speed sensor is a different count. So there's a good chance that won't work. I don't know if in HP tuners that could be corrected. I doubt it because that's not part of the ECM. It's probably part of a different computer. So probably can't do anything with that. But my next question is, those things have to be put together by somebody, right? So can I break that whole thing apart, take the hub flange off, one of these, put them back together? Are the bearings the same size, I guess, is essentially what I'm getting at. So when it gets here, I'm gonna look at it. I will probably try and just throw the hubs on because they're $39, so I'll just throw one on. I can put a wheel on then. That would at least let me get the look right, and then I can try tearing it down at a later date. As far as the rear axles, it's really not that hard to order a different rear axle with the correct bolt pattern, so that's kind of a no-brainer. It's going to cost $300–400. I have read that the rotors off of a Camaro, and I got to go look it up, 2010-ish Camaro, have basically the same offset and the same diameter. So if I get my 5-lug solution, that may be my 5-lug solution for the rotors. It's all kind of hearsay till I have them in hand and have tried it myself.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of different logistics. And the one thing the whole logistics is we always talk about how the mountain always Is it getting bigger and better every single season? Well, the thing about Pikes Peak that always amazed me was that over in Europe, I was more well known for Pikes Peak.
So this is really loose. It's probably going to need to replace that end link before trying to put too many miles on this. I mean, it'll work for what we're doing, but something else that needs work. Let me go get the other side real quick. All right, I'm having heck getting that off there, so we're going to try a puller. There we go. That's what it needed.
of us here are. And it's hard to come away from, and what a great. So hopefully we see him back in years to come in cool stuff.
And the sound effects of that machine, I think we just ought to enjoy that.
Alright, so I got all this all cleaned up with a wire wheel. Got the new shock out. Apparently you can actually lift the truck 2 inches or drop it 2 inches. So without any of the rings, it's a 2-inch drop. With all the rings, it's a 2-inch lift. I don't want to lift it. One corner done, 3 to go. I'm quitting for tonight. After I get back, I will get the other front strut done. Should go a lot quicker since I've done it once now. Well, kind of twice since I forgot that cap. And then we'll move on to the rear, which should be just springs and shocks. And right now I just have wood blocks where the springs would be. Well, I'm finally over here to the driver's side rear axle area. And what I'd like to do is get my spring in there, which replaces the airbag. Since all that stuff is gone, it comes with a new bump stop. You have to do a little modifications on it to get it in. I know that because I already did the other side. So to accomplish all this, we need to remove the link for the sway bar. The other side and the front two, I think I mentioned before, they're completely wore out. So I've got new ones coming for this. Probably won't be here for a day or two. I obviously don't have the rubber isolator that would have come with a factory coil spring on those models. So, but the pads and everything are all there. So I found those in Rock Auto, got those ordered in. The kit that I've got, it's a Beltec kit. It comes with new shocks for the rear. So we'll get all this stuff out, get the spring in. We'll have to do it again. We'll have to pull the shock bolt again later and get it up there so we can get the isolators in. But this will at least get the truck sitting at the ride height that we wanted. And I think I showed you guys some 3D printed templates that I made that fit the 6-lug wheel pattern and the hub and give me a place to drill out. Actually, you start with this one, but it gives you a place to mark and drill out for the 5-lug 4.5-inch lug pattern. I tried using the S10 hub up front. It does physically bolt in. It does match the spline count. It all fits. I failed to recognize that it's 5 on 4 3/4, 5 on 120. So that doesn't fit the wheels I have. So 5 on 4 3/4, 5 on 120 is a very common wheel pattern. If I wanted to buy different wheels, that would probably be a way to go, except that you still run into the issue of the wheel speed sensor and getting wrong data to the computer, the electronic brake control module, EVCM. So to solve that problem, what I'm going to do is order in a couple of new 6-lug TrailBlazer hubs and re-drill those with some templates. I can do that on a drill press. It's a little easier. This you can do without even removing the rotor, except that once you're ready to pull the lugs out of this, you got to pull the caliper and the rotor, knock the studs out, and then I'm just reusing the studs for now. There is one hole that they line up right above each other, so you get this oblonged hole in there. See, you guys see that? Anyway, so that's going to require welding up the old 6-lug hole and then drilling that one out. So that I'm going to run around with 4 lugs while I'm putting this whole thing together. And then I still think I'm probably just going to order new axles with the proper pattern, and I can get them to put a stepped hub flange so that my disc is hub centric for the factory disc, and I'm just going to have to drill those. I mean, what am I going to need? 1 set in my entire life, maybe 2. So I'd have to re-drill those, but then I can have them step the hub down to the hub size for my wheels, which is, I think, 67 millimeters. So it's kind of a hybrid deal, but it's a solution. It's about $300 to $400, so not that big a deal. The front, I'm just gonna have to drill them, and then I'll put the hub in my own lathe and turn down the hub center to the right diameter. That's my plan for now. So I'm gonna get the sway bar link done, shock off, jack up the body, pull my wood blocks out and the bump stop, then put all the new stuff in. So let's get it done. Well, they got it loose, but we still gotta probably do it by hand here. Won't be needing that level sensor anymore, so that wiring will eventually get pulled out. I did notice that the wheel speed sensor on the other side has been unplugged, but the wire that goes into the chassis is missing. So I'm hoping that that's not something they cut, so I'm gonna have to go back, find those wires. It should just be 2 wires. Make sure they go to the EBCM so that we get our braking, but we'll see. In the meantime, I just need to get this bump stop out of the way, clean up the pads a little bit, and then we can put our stuff back together. See, that's pretty butchered. This truck rode on these for a few hundred miles from Albuquerque up to Farmington, and then in the back of a trailer for 1,200 miles from Farmington to here, so no wonder they're all wore out. Plus, they're 20 years old. All right, now this is the replacement bump stop they gave me. What I found on the other side is it's about 1/8 of an inch too thick up here on this flange, so you need to sand this side down. And then I need to put a bevel on it so it has a chance to get up in there. But once you get that, it actually fits pretty well. So I'm gonna run over to my belt sander, sand all that off, put a bevel on it, and then it should fit right in there. All right, got the spring in the right place, which, like I said, we'll have to redo after we get the isolators. And the bump stop is in place. Now we can put our shock in, which is honestly just like any other shock you've ever installed. Oh, let's see. Like I said, we're going to replace these sway bar links at a later time, so I'm just going to snug this in so I don't lose the nut. And there we go. That's the new ride height, minus the weight of the body on it. But now we have a suspension. We can actually get an idea of what the truck should look like when it's sitting. In the meantime, I'm going to put my jigs on here, find my drill guides, and I'm going to drill the rotor and the hub out, get 4 lugs in place, and I'll bring you back in just a minute. If you guys haven't used it, this is pretty good stuff. It's made by Rotabroach, and it's really for their broaches, but works great as a lube for drilling, and it sticks to the drill really well. Picked up some new drill bits that would drill through harder steel, stainless and other stuff. They're Diablo Metal Demon. worth the $10 for the drill bit. And then my drill guides here I got off Amazon. It came as a set of 6. I think we're gonna go try and jump up to like a 7/16. Get these opened up just a little bit more. All right, I don't know when the battery died there, but anyway, I've got these 2 holes drilled out to 31/64, and that seems to be very close to where those could be pressed in. So we're gonna, and again, we'll be knocking this one out later. This bunch of washers put together with some of this stick lube in between them. 13/16. Ideally, we would press these in, but then I don't feel like doing it. We're gonna have to put fluid back in the rear axle, and probably end up doing it anyway, because like I said, I'm gonna probably buy new axles. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it like this. We're gonna put this. New guide on here. Our washers. And this one. All we're trying to do there is just hold everything tight so we can drill these out with our drill guides again. We'll start with the 3/16. It's 3/8, 3/16. Put the drill guide in. Get a fancy new drill bit. Lube, and drill this out. I'm liking these drill bits. Not the cheapest drill bits in the world, but I do like them. About it. We're going to take these off, pull the 2 lugs we need through there. And then we can bolt a wheel on. So guys, if you're interested, I will put, these are free. I'm not going to charge anybody for these. But if you want them, just email me at questions@allisoncustoms.com. I'll put it down here on the bottom of the screen. It'll be in the description. Let me know that you're looking for the 6-on-127 to 5-on-4.5. So 6-on-127 by 5-on-4.5, 5-on-114.3 adapters, and I'll send you both of them. One where you drill 2 holes, that'll get you started with the 2 lower lugs, and then you leave this one. I'm going to knock this one out now. And then this one gets you the others. Once you have it, you can take it off, rotate it, and if you weld this hole up, then you can use the same guides. I'll put a link to the description for Amazon for the drill guides I used that fit these holes. And like I said, I'm just reusing the factory lugs. So the drill bit you want is a 31/64. I like these Diablo, but there's no association for any of this. I am looking into a Patreon account. I think that may give me a place to put stuff like this without me having to have my own website that I don't do anything with. So we'll see. But for now, just email me directly. I'll send you this stuff. Anything else that you've seen me design or use and you're interested in it, let me know. I'm not looking to make money off any of that. Knock that one out, put 2 in there, and then this is ready to put a wheel on. So now my wheels that I had on the Volvo that I would like to reuse because I like them. You know, people accuse me of being cheap, but I just like those wheels. Anyway, they're not going to fit as long as this hub is the diameter that it is. So it will have to have, I think this is like 79 millimeter. We got to get it down to 67. So we got to take quite a bit of that material off. But we want to leave just enough of a lip in there that the disc stays hub-centric. So for now, though, we got one of our wheels on the rear. Had to put a spacer in there because, like I said, the hub is the wrong size. So you can see right in here, a lot of material is going to have to be taken off that axle stub if we're to reuse these axles. Which we could do, we could put that on a lathe. But I think just so I don't have to weld up a bunch of holes in here, probably just gonna go ahead and order a set of axles with the right hub center for the wheel and the disc, and then all I gotta do is just drill the discs out. Well, you can reuse these discs, there's nothing wrong with them. The front is a little different because it uses hubs. The nice thing is we can do all the drilling on a drill press. The kind of bad part of this is these are so crusty and rusted up. I went ahead and ordered another set and they're not here yet. So rather than spend the time drilling these just so I can throw a wheel on the front, we're just going to go ahead and continue to use the shop wheels. They're the wrong diameter. Let's see here. These are like 25-inch diameter, these are like 24-inch diameter. So we're just gonna have to use our imagination on the front until we can put a set of these on. And in fact, we can't even leave these on the rear because it'll hit the body, whereas these stick out further. So I can change out the hub so that they'll fit this. Here's why you should always put your lowering kit, whatever, on your vehicle and test things to the point of I put a 2-inch drop on there on the strut. I re-drilled the rotors and the hub so that I could put a tire and wheel that I want on here, and I really would like to have about an inch taller tire just for a little more sidewall. And this is hard on there. And it's closed the gap up just a tiny amount here, which means it's actually putting some pressure on the body to be sitting there. So that tells me, not that I need to get rid of the 2-inch lift, but that I can lift the body back up at maybe a ½ an inch, because I am going to do a cutout here, and it's going to be a 3-inch wide flare. I've got the body sitting back compared to the axle center, so that's why it hugs up here in the front a little more, you know, than back here. It's because I was trying to eat up some of that difference that's in the rear. But I'm thinking it won't hurt me to raise the body ½ an inch to a full inch and let the flare stick out and cover this, and then the gap, if I give myself an inch, then the gap inside the flare with the cutout should be more than enough room for wheel travel. The nice thing is while I can't go any lower, I can raise the suspension with, so on the strut, the adapter kit, they send you some different rings. So you can go all the way up to a 2-inch lift. You would have to change the shocks to a longer shock, but you just put a combination of all these rings on there until you have the height that you want. So the nice thing is, you know, as long as I get enough room for everything to work, I can go back and fine tune it with 1/4 inch and 3/8 and 1/2 inch rings until I'm dead on my desired ride height appearance. The body sits plenty low enough compared to the frame, but if I did raise the body up like 1 inch, it just gives me more headroom inside, which right now I probably have more than the factory Volvo did, but it'll give me more room for a variety of seats. So I'm glad I'd been having it sit weight on wheels with the jack stands, but it's not, you know, it's not the same leverage. It's not all the way out here at the tire full print on the ground. So it does change it a little bit. You know, you do have to watch that. So I'm happy with what I got. If I just get enough clearance in here, like I said, 1/2 inch for sure, maybe a whole inch of movement. So putting the air gap, putting the bottom of the lip up here. I think that will be what I'm after. So for now, I think today's project, I just so you know, I did have to take the intake manifold off to get the body to come forward to where I was happy with the firewall placement and the wheel being about 3/4 inch behind what I judge by eyeball to be the center of the wheel well opening. I wanted a little bit forward just to, like I said, help eat up some of that space in the rear. We looked at the frame down there. We can take 4 inches out. I'm pretty comfortable with 4 inches. So I think the project for today is lift the body off, take the floor pan off, roll the frame out of the way, and go ahead and section it to 4 inches, weld it back together. If I can get that done today and the floor cut today, then I can bring it back in place here and bolt down the 2 pieces of the floor, get all my flanges straight. I need to make sure that my braces underneath are, I was cutting them with a long Sawzall blade, so they're not perfectly straight. They tend to flare out towards the outside of the car, which is going to interfere with the inner rocker. And, you know, so I need to just go in there and make sure everything's straight and trimmed as close as I can to the width of what's going to be the inner rocker. The other thing that adding some height does is give me a little more room for intake, and I know I'm going to have to put a different accessory drive to get the alternator down low. And, you know, the fan shroud is made for a mechanical fan. We'll definitely switch to an electric fan so we can get that lower. But again, if we can add a little height, I can probably lower the radiator a little bit and get it to clear under the hood. Don't mind putting a hood scoop, like a Cal induction hood scoop on it, but the less of all that extra I have to do, the better. Overall, I mean, that's ride height. I think it sits pretty damn good. Well below my waist for the fender. I can see easily over the top of the car. All right, guys, here's what I'm thinking. Is this the fuel tank? It's the driver's side underneath. I should be able to move the fuel tank 4 inches, which is, I measured that already, 4 inches to here. That adds 4 inches to the brake lines in the rear, if you will. Slide this, unbolt it, re-drill holes as close to the front up there as I can to this cross member so that this is up here close to the cross member. Yeah, it's gonna make getting to those bolts difficult without removing it, or you leave this where it's at and then it's difficult to get the electrical connector off without removing the tank. So it's kind of an if then or either one kind of situation. Those bolts have nuts on them, so you might be able to access them from this side if you could just get a wrench. So maybe leave just 2 inches here, move this as far forward and make sure you can get a socket in there, a wrench. The limiting factor is not the EBCM, the electronic brake control module. It's the differential. And from here to here is about almost 5 inches, but by the time you leave some room and all that so that you don't hear this banging on the transfer case, 4 inches is about what we can get. Just shorten the drive shaft. The frame has a factory splice right here. So we have to wash out all these welds, cut 4 inches off, put it back together. Not that big a deal. There's room right here in the exhaust. Should be able to cut 4 inches out right here. And basically, that's it. And then we'll cut 4 inches out of the floor at some point, probably between these two mounts. So you can see it here. Well, actually, it'll have to be in the same place. If we cut the frame here, then we need to take 4 inches out in the same place, just so everything will line up again. I think that'll work. That it saves us, I mean, this is pretty bad right now, but if we can move 4 inches of that, that leaves the rear axle back over here somewhere, brings it back to here, which lines up right under the window. I think would be a little better proportioned than it is right now. I have the front of the body sitting about where I want it. Of course, the suspension is drooped out right now, but well, I talked about trying to wash these welds out, and somebody like my father-in-law, God rest his soul, but he could do that. What I could do is grind down the face of this where it sticks up, and then I could take a die grinder and try and grind the weld out around. And on the other side, that wouldn't be a problem probably. This side, on the outside, it wouldn't be a problem. On the inside, I either got to get the exhaust out of the way or come up with a different solution. The current thinking is that what I need to do is mark where everything needs to get cut. And then while I've got it up on these jack stands, I'm going to cut the bottom so that the bottom part of this is coming away. So I'm going to cut this way and then across and then that way and across, and then take the bottom part of this outer tube off. Then I can lay it down, put jack stands under the front part of the frame so that this frame is level, down low, so that I know where it's supposed to go back together. And then I need to have some marks where it all needs to come back to. On the other side, there was a nice convenient hole right about here that I was measuring from that had a nice square edge on it, kind of like this would be backwards. On this side, I don't have that, so I'm just going to use this body mount. And what I need to do is figure out a couple of places. So like the weld on this side, center of the weld is 15 1/4. And then, so 15 1/4 minus 4 is what we're wanting to take off, so that's going to be 11 1/4. And then we want something up here that's just a reference point. So we'll go, looking like 19 1/4. There we go, 19 1/4. So later on, I'm kind of working with my 4-inch increments and not trying to remember all kinds of different numbers. Trying to knock that high spot off. Now there's a triangulation brace underneath here that I also have to cut the end of it off. We'll end up welding it back on later, but now I'm just going to cut it off to get it out of the way. So my solution is probably going to be to make some cuts around all these welds, take as many big pieces of metal off as I can, and then once I get it down to where it's mostly just the weld, then I can throw a stone on my grinder and just try and grind away everything else. I think I will be more successful at that. It will probably go quicker for me at that way, and that's the approach I'm going to use. I kind of thought about it and I was like, you know, I'm not super confident. I don't even know if I have a scarfing tip. I used to have stuff like that, but finding any of that stuff has been a trouble so far. Slowly getting moved in here for real, but my oxyacetylene tanks, I've got one set up here, but I don't have the hose reel for those. And my mobile set is, I think, in the RV garage where the Scout is at. So anyway, so my thinking is I'm going to draw some lines to give me some reference points, and I'm going to cut this outer tube. This tube is bigger than this one, and they slid together, and I want to salvage this one. I'm going to take my 4 inches out of the bigger one. But anyway, I don't know how much of that you can see, but I've got a grid of lines there. And then I took measurements off this body mount, gave myself a reference line up here. The center of this weld is 15 1/4. So I gave myself a reference line up here at 19 1/4 just to keep the 4-inch increment that I want to take out. And then my line back here is at 11 1/4. Got that marked in a few places so that this is going to be my actual cut line for the frame when I bring it all back together. And then I need to get it down, level this frame rail out, working forward of the cut. Get a couple of triangulation measurements just so I have a reference of something that will measure out square. And then the number is going to change when we shorten it, but at least we know something started square so that we can work from those numbers. So from now, what I want to do is get this bottom piece of this tube cut away so that I don't have to try and get underneath there when it's 6 inches off the ground. And then we'll come back, cut the tube, slide the back out of the way, clean the rest of it up, and shove it back together. It's 1:30 in the afternoon. I have to be done with this by 5:30 or it goes into tomorrow. And tomorrow I really want to cut the floor and get it set on and get the body back on and kind of get it finalized for position. So we got to hustle. Probably level this side of the frame. We can do that with these, some of these inexpensive camper jacks at the front, like these, because you can adjust pretty. thought I'd show you guys a little side project I've been working on in the evenings. Let me turn the camera. I've had this big box back here for many, many years, and it has served me very well, but it's very heavy. It's awkward to move around. So I was at Harbor Freight recently, picked up this Yukon box. I liked the fact that the drawers moved easy. And the only thing I wish is that this down here was 2 long drawers instead of the really deep one. It's probably not going to have anything that really fits that. Took the Yukon sticker off, made my own little badge for metric because this is going to get all my metric tools, wrenches, sockets, and the whole reason the blue box became the metric was because the blue socket holders are metric, and if you look in this other box, the red ones are SAE. So plan to get one more of these boxes. I'll do all my SAE tools, and then it gives me a way to roll the toolbox to wherever I'm working with the proper tools in it. And I'll keep this box for like all of the oddball stuff, the stuff you use so occasionally that, you know, just specialty tools, whether it's gear pullers and, let's see, now we got all kinds of gear pullers, a windshield wire, seal cutter, air conditioner leak test kit thing. What else? Timing light. All kinds of weird drill bits, mostly masonry. Probably don't even need those in a toolbox anymore. And then all this will go to the SAE box. All this will go to the SAE box. Here's specialty tools, steering wheel puller, another gear puller. Oddball stuff. The side project has been that I've been printing. Now, I bought these sets, but I've been printing little holders, including this one here and this one. And then last night, I printed this one for the wrenches. And then last night I printed this for my long reach sockets and this for the internal 12-point bolts. Like, I think find them on calipers. And what I've been doing is putting some magnets in them, just so once you put them wherever you think you like it, they'll stay in place. So kind of happy with that. Need to make some for these. I got to find the rest of these. I know there's 3 or 4 more somewhere. One of my tools is out, and I'd originally made it for the 6 and then realized I'd had one that was missing, so I had to make another one last night. So anyway, that's been my side project. Just been trying to organize my metric tools. Of course, like anything else, if I have a flat surface, it gets covered up immediately, but we'll try and get it organized again. So for now, though, it's time to get back to this. I didn't finish last night. We got to get it today. Well, I worked myself like crazy yesterday trying to get this back together, welded up so I could put the floor back on it. Got to put the tank and all that in it yet. I didn't get done. As you saw right at the end of the evening, like I was shoving this thing together and it kind of got, as quickly as I could, I shoved it together, but it wasn't quite enough to actually pull it together. So I need to grab some tie down straps, find some points where I can just start pulling it together. We've got our measurements written in a few different spots, so we'll get it to the right length. We were shorting it 4 inches, so we'll get that 4 inches done. So we'll weld up 3 sides, and then once that's locked in, then I'll jack it up, get underneath it, weld the bottom. And then I did drill some new holes in the sides on both sides so that I could weld through and into the frame rail like it was factory. So I think, other than it's 4 inches shorter, most people will not be able to tell. The brake lines, will have to do a little tweaking on those, and I need to move the EBCM, electronic brake control module, EBCM. I need to move it as far this way as I can. And one of the things I thought of last night was I could take these bolts out that are on this transmission cross member. I'll just take out one at a time, but turn them around and put the nut on the inside to where later I'm not fighting to get the bolt out of it if I had to ever work on the transmission. So that's going to be my solution, or part of my solution for that. And then, like I said, these brake lines will probably fit just about perfect. These will have to get shortened, which is just going to be, they're going to get a couple S turns in them to get back to where they were. And that's going to be it. Put the fuel tank back in it and roll this. So I'll actually put the floor on it, and then we'll cut the floor and get 4 inches out of it. There's a factory seam that I think we're going to try and use the factory seam. I don't know for sure. I just got to make sure that I miss. There were so many. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 body mounts on each side. Your typical 60s car has like 6 body mounts plus the radiator, 8 for the whole car. This has 10 plus the 2 up front. I mean, it's just, and it's shorter than like an old, you know, it's shorter, lighter than an old, I don't know, 60s Cadillac or whatever. That it had body mounts everywhere. I kept going, well, why isn't it coming up? And then it'd be another body mount. So I'd have to get under there and zip some more out. Funny that you think you got it figured out, and there's more and more. So we will keep moving forward. Actually, it looks like it's moving pretty easy. We're pretty close to where I think. Snug up the other side just a little bit. Imagine if I had 2 people. We would have just been able to just push this together. Really wouldn't have needed the straps at all. Oop, I think I went too far. Let's find the tape measures and see what we got. Right, if I go a whole click, it's going to be just a little too much. So this side is dead on right now. So I think I need to clean a couple of spots. Paint and put some tack welds on there, and then we'll tweak that side. Dead on. Very good. working out where I put this brake control module. Previously it mounted right here. I need it to go back 4 inches. But there is a convenient hole for one of the pins there, but I think that's only back about 3 inches. 2.5 inches out of this bracket. If I cut it right there, that's 2. So it's on an angle, so we need that angle in there. I think if I cut it in that bend, cut right there, 2.25 inches out there, then I'm going to remove those 2 little hooks, and I can just re-drill holes for these and probably just put nut zerts in there. So is it perfect? No, but it's so much cleaner than it was that I can shoot some paint on it, and I've already shortened it so we can get it put in place. So I just got to go get some nut zerts and the tools. Of course, they're in the other shop, but that's right, they should be down here. So I'm going to get all that and get this thing put back together. I think I finally get close. Get a gasket. But I got the fuel tank in. I got wiring run back. Played with the fuel lines and the brake lines and got those all. Anyway, I played with the fuel lines and the brake lines, got those all put back together. So I weld the top of this, and got a cross member that goes underneath here. I'll jack it up, put that on. We put the floor on it finally. Amazing sometimes because this stuff comes apart so easily. You break a bunch of bolts loose, drop the fuel tank out, whatever. You got to put it all back eventually though too, so it's kind of just surprising how much of it takes, how long it takes to put it all back together right. And some of it I had to like kind of reinvent stuff. Like for example, putting these brake lines on, I had to take up 4 inches over here. This was almost exactly the right length. I had to kind of stretch them a little bit, but wasting 4 inches over here, not really having a method. Like if I could just put a curlicue in it, would have been perfect, but didn't really have a method for doing that. This line is not, it's metric, I'm sure, so I don't have benders or guides that are really made for it. And then, like I said, this transmission had been replaced. I think I mentioned that before. Well, there's a whole lot of stuff they didn't even put back together correctly. Like there's bolts missing, the wires torn out of places. So while I'm under here, while it's easy access, I started fixing all of that. So it just takes time. Fuel tank's got a lot of gas in it, so and I need some clips for these lines. So I'm gonna have to put those on my list and order them. I need a gasket for the exhaust. Put that on my list. And then, what else? I don't know, there's probably more, but let's get some stuff out of the way and let's get the floor on here. Hey, you can tell I'm getting tired because I'm fighting it, and I'm like, how come it's not lining up? I'll get close on the front, and then the back's way off. Because you shortened it 4 inches. So, that's funny. Anyway, so I got the front about where it belongs. I think I'm gonna get 2 bolts in there, and then I will worry about trying to get something across this. Probably the second one's in, and then we'll figure out where we're gonna cut it. So here's what I got. We're gonna cut on the line between the 2 colors of tape. And then 4 inches over, that's 2 and this is 2, that would be this mark. I backed up a 1/2 inch, and I'm gonna cut on that so we can overlap, and then I'll cut around these 2 bolts because I do need those for the mount for the shifter and the parking brake. So that is the plan. So we'll come up and notch out, come over, notch out, keep going. Well, y'all, that's where I'm gonna have to leave it. I don't know, hopefully you can see I've put a bunch of holes through here for some spot welds. I just used this handheld punch. 2 different sizes. This one does like 3/8 inch holes, and then I have one that does like 1/4 inch holes. It's probably all metric, but anyway, it all fits together like I thought it should. I've got a nice overlap here. So next time I can work on it, which will probably be about a week from now, I'll make sure everything's squared up, take some corner to corner points and measure it, make sure it's square to the 2 pieces. But then we'll weld that across and get this back underneath the body. It's been a long 2 days to get to this, but I think in the end I'm going to be much happier that I spent the time to go ahead and shorten up the frame, the 4 inches that I could get. That's going to take some of the overall wheelbase difference up and help me keep the proportions on the body looking correct. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you found some of it interesting. Nothing else, how you can destroy a TrailBlazer SS really quick. Just keep cutting. Well, that's it for now. I will see you in another video coming up. And that's when we'll weld this up, get it underneath the body again, and then I have one more item that I want to get in here before I weld the body to the floor pan, and I'll show you that in the next episode. So again, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, all the other YouTube stuff, and God bless. See you again soon.